In this time of fear, you have an incredible story to share. Welcome to Simply Financial, where you can stop worrying, start planning so you can live your life better. Let me tell you about what just happened recently in a client meeting, and it was amazing. He came in and he sits down, and here's what he says. I'm kind of disappointed. Now that might not seem amazing, but it was. So at this moment, my heart's in my throat. I'm super worried. Why is he kind of disappointed? So he tells me, I know you really like dividends. I get it. I watch your videos all the time. And I've had very consistent dividend income, and that's been great. But I'm kind of disappointed about my value. The market has done whatever it's done, and it's back up, and we're not. And why? And I'm like, well, do you mind if we look at your statements? He says, sure, I've kind of done that. So we look at them. In July of 2018, his balance was $463,000 roughly in this one account. In July of 19, his value was $446,000. And then in July of 2020, it was roughly $386,000. After looking at all those numbers, I was instantly like, how in the world was the value of 19 lower than the value of 18? I just couldn't understand it. So I looked at him and said, do you mind if we look at one more statement in 2018? So we picked up December. The value in December was $410,000. And then the light bulb went off. Do you remember how bad the fourth quarter of 2018 was? I didn't. I pushed right over it. And that's why I didn't realize earlier why the values were different. But they were. 2018 was the worst, the number one worst December ever in the history of the United States in our stock market. It was awful. That Christmas Eve was the single worst drop ever in the history of any Christmas Eve ever. Like, this is crazy. Worst December, worst Christmas Eve, wiped out all the returns of everything that had been gained up to that point in all of 2018. That's why the value was so good in the middle of the year and so bad by the end. This made a whole lot more sense now why the value was where it was in the middle of 2019. And then we fast forward to 2020 and where we are today. And you know what? The first quarter of this year in 2020, it was a train wreck. Here's some stats for you. The three quickest 30-point drops in US history happened in the Great Depression until 2020. We now claimed the fastest 30-point drop. Took 22 days. Happened this year. Terrible. If you look at the Dow and the S&P, 6 of the top 20 worst trading days happened this year. 6. If you look at just the Dow and you look at their top 10 worst point drops ever, 8 of them happened in 2020. Talk about terrible. We had the worst December, we had the worst Christmas Eve, we had the fastest point drops, some of the most astounding single percentage drops, all within 2 years. And then I'm thinking about the client and he says, yeah, but my dividend's been kind of boring. My dividend's been there, but I'm kind of disappointed about the value. Let's talk about that value. If you look at December of 2018, his value was 410. You look at July, his value was 463. You look at February of 2020, his value was almost 480,000. If you reinvested, by the way, those values are him taking out $75,000 of dividend income. If you were to reinvest those dividends, he would have outperformed the market. So over a 3-period time, we well underperformed. Over the same years, different dates, we outperformed. And you know what was consistent? His dividend. It was just about $23,000. It went up slightly every year, but it was pretty consistent at $23,000. And here's the crazy part. Here's the second light bulb went off. I'm thinking about our portfolio, and it's 96% American companies. And we took this sucker punch, these big right hooks to the gut, to the face. And you know what we saw? Consistency of dividend income. We saw the values go way down. We saw the values go way up. And you know what happened? Nothing with our dividends. These are American companies. And they took some of the hardest economic hits ever recorded, and boom, their dividend was constant. It was boring, it was old faithful. And that is a strong story to tell. How in this time right now, we are living in more fear. There's so many reasons to have anxiety and stress. And you feel it and I feel it. And here we are right now. And at least in this part of our life, of our financial world, we have this strong story. And you've got neighbors, I've got neighbors. We've got friends, family, people that we haven't seen in months that are not able to tell the same story that you are. They have a story where their value just went crazy and they might even made some bad decisions in the middle of all that. You didn't. And you've had consistency in your life amongst all the craziness. And they need to hear that. So here's what I want you to do. I don't want you to just share this video, although you can. I want you to tell your story, this amazing story that you have to tell. I want you to share it with somebody who needs to hear it because they need what you have. This is not a call for a referral. This is a call for you to educate somebody on what you're going through, what you've been through, and the consistency that you've had in your life. There's a lot of people out there that are hurting, that have a ton of stress, and they don't have the financial stability that you do. And you know what? If they never come back to me, that is totally fine. And if you can be the pillar of education and inspiration in their life to get what you have, that is good enough with me. So please do that. Start with maybe sharing this video, but it better end with a conversation. And then the last thing is I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to hear the stories, the impact that you were making. So give me a call or send me an email because I want to hear from you. I don't know about you, but after I got those 2 epiphanies, I look back at being an American and I'm proud. I look at the companies that we hold and the things that you've done, the things that I've done, and I am proud to be an American. We are resilient. We are people that can take big sucker punches, big right hooks like this, and still stand and take it. We're resilient, and that's amazing. And I hope you are just as proud as I am to call myself an American. You're still here? That's great. Well, you might as well subscribe. You can leave now.